Hello, and thank you for joining us. We are taking a look at HBO Max, and first of all, we need to point out this is the URL to watch HBO Max. It's not hbomax.com, it's play.hbomax.com. If you go to hbomax.com, it's just sort of like sign into your account and so on. Let's take a look at what you can see on HBO Max, and if you look at my list, you'll see that I've put together a couple of things that kind of give you an idea of the sort of range. Here they have their featured series, which is going to mix up everything from HBO and the Cartoon Network and Turner's library all together. I mean, you'd never expect to see the OC, the Doom Patrol, and Bill Maher next to each other. But now that it's all in one big happy family, that's where you're going. The HBO Max originals at the start are very slim because they didn't have time to film all of these things and because of the COVID-19. Your featured movies section is basically HBO stuff with some Turner clones in. You see there's Casablanca. So it's now the home of both Game of Thrones and Casablanca. It launches with all of the Harry Potter movies, but I wouldn't necessarily expect to see them on there permanently. That is a property that's kind of out there, but that's a big pickup early on. Down here you see a section that might remind you of Disney Plus a bit. What they've done is they've broken down all of their brands into separate sections. We're going to jump into HBO, and you'll see this more or less looks like the HBO Now website and app. It's got tons and tons of movies that you can find on HBO, whether they're HBO original movies or just movies that HBO has the rights to distribute. It breaks things down by the different things that HBO offers. So you see even it has a kids section. The kids section is going to be where you find things like Sesame Street and cartoons, things like that. As we keep scrolling down, you see that it has a section for everything else. So let's take a look at the DC section. Warner owns DC, but you will see that despite the fact that it does have DC properties, including The Watchmen, which is interesting, because people don't necessarily think of The Watchmen as DC, you will see that it's epic origin stories. It includes Steel and the Catwoman movie. Where you see Supergirl here, that is the Supergirl movie from the 1980s. It was a spin-off of the Christopher Reeve movies versus the Supergirl TV show. Another interesting note here, you've got Gotham's Joker, and if you look at the section where it says Gotham's Joker, it says, "Why so serious?" That's a Heath Ledger reference, yet The Dark Knight is not one of the Batman movies in the Batman collection. But, does that mean we're going to see The Dark Knight on HBO Max at some point? I don't know. But right now, they've got the original movie collection there. Obviously, they also don't have the TV show. Let's see what else HBO Max has to offer. We're going to keep on exploring these different sections. The Sesame Street section is actually a whole lot like what you already see on HBO Now and, of course, HBO Go. It breaks things down into themes. My cousin is so excited about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Now, the TCN section is one of the big ones, because one of the really big pulls of HBO Max is that it's going to combine HBO content with all of this classic Turner stuff. And you see, as you scroll down, there's a lot out there, including a whole collection of Charlie Chaplin movies. That's The Great Dictator there. If you look in the middle, that was, the ironic one because he already had the Hitler mustache. He made a movie making fun of dictators and looked a whole lot like pretty well-known one at the time. But you see that this is a pretty big collection. If you go into the A to Z, you'll see the scope of it. And the only thing I would note on this is, I mean, look, you notice Aliens. You might have seen us scrolling by that. And what's Big Top Pee-wee doing in a Turner Classics section? Michael Moore here is not exactly a Turner classic. Neither is Braveheart, even though I love the movie. So, while you've got, for some reason things like Commando thrown in there next to Charlie Chaplin, I do, acknowledge that this is quite a collection. I really think that HBO needs to sharpen their filters a bit so that, Gone with the Wind is not next to Good Will Hunting. So, this is a very impressive collection of movies, but it's not exactly what they advertise on the banner. So, sharpen that up, HBO. Just show your stuff, right? As we continue, we're going to jump into this. Gosh, I'm not going to say it. I know I'll mess it up. This is an independent studio, though. This is a very, very well-known artist, and it's going to live here on HBO Max. The Cartoon Network section should be exciting for folks. If you used to have the Cartoon Network and you don't anymore, this is a chance to get back into things. It doesn't have every single thing that the Cartoon Network has. For instance, I noticed that it doesn't have the shorts. My daughter and I were watching the Transformers, the new version of the Transformers, but it does have Steven Universe. So here we are in the future, and it's bright. An A to Z look will show you just how limited it actually is. But at the same time, there is a lot of content. The Adult Swim section is much the same. An A to Z look will show you that, again, it's not all inclusive, but you see the big hits: Robot Chicken, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and even Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which I remember from college. The Crunchyroll section is hardly a replacement for a full Crunchyroll app, but it does have a number of anime sorts of things. It almost feels like they're trying to show you other properties and give you a little taste of it for the price of HBO Max, with the idea that if you really fall in love with these kinds of things, maybe you'll go get Crunchyroll. Maybe you'll go get the Cartoon Network independent app. Now, where I think that it really shines as far as collections along with the Turner stuff is the Looney Tunes. If this is something that you grew up with, or something that you haven't had a chance to explore much, their Looney Tunes library is extensive, and I'm going to give you an idea of what I mean. If you look under the A to Z, and you take a look at this Looney Tunes, this top first one here, this is every single season of Looney Tunes. It's just a massive library. Tell me something. How did they not get sued for this? These mice here? I don't know. Maybe they called them squirrels or something like that. But I don't know. I don't know about that. But if you click on these different seasons here, you will see that tons and tons of episodes are gathered here in this library, which is a real treasure trove as far as this content goes. And look, there's the old dancing frog. Hello, my baby. So, this is a very, very big collection of Looney Tunes cartoons. I don't know if they've kind of taken out things that somebody might consider insensitive, because I haven't explored it all. But there it is. There's a lot to see there. But, this is what you see. You see, we added Rick and Morty when we were looking through. So now it's on my list. Click on see more and you get a kind of a little easier to digest group of the things that you're going to watch. And of course, HBO Max is the home of Friends. That might be a big deal to a lot of people. It was very popular on Netflix, and I think that might have been the reason that HBO swooped it up. But it has every season of Friends, so they'll be there for you if you want them. So that's HBO Max, my friends. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe and share it with your friends. And as always, I'm Ryan Downey, the streaming advisor. Stream on, my friends.